Dad Whalen, plus Secrets of the Seahorse, and Laughing Matters with John Mulaney.
At this moment, President Trump is in Ankara, Turkey for the annual NATO summit. You're looking at President Trump deplaning from Air Force One about 30 minutes ago. During the summit, Mr. Trump is likely to push for allies to increase defense spending. The president frequently expresses frustration with NATO allies, particularly over their criticism of the Iran war. CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is also there, joining us live from Ankara, Turkey this morning. Ed, good morning to you. We just saw Turkish President Erdogan warmly greet President Trump on the tarmac and the blue carpet there. What can we expect from the two of them today and from this summit overall?
We are expecting to see some high-level chumminess for sure, Errol, as these two are known to be pretty fond of each other. The president says part of the reason, really the only reason he's willing to be at this NATO summit this year is because it's being hosted here in Ankara at the presidential palace by President Erdogan, someone he's had a deeper connection to on the world stage, at least, since the first Trump administration. Expect today to focus a bit on the U.S.-Turkey relationship. Turkey's been pushing the United States to allow it to regain access to F-35 fighter jet engines that it wants to help replenish its military fleet. There has been bipartisan concern, however, dating back to the first Trump administration, because Turkey also possesses Russian-made surface-to-air missile launchers, and there's concern about Russian and American equipment sort of working together and the potential security vulnerabilities for the American equipment. But the president has signaled in recent days Turkey may like what I'm going to tell them. In essence, they're going to somehow regain that access. We'll see what the bipartisan response to that in Congress is, because there is legislation actually barring the sale of the F-35 jets to Turkey unless or until they drop the Russian equipment. Beyond that, expect the focus of this summit to be more broadly on the president's perennial concerns that the rest of the alliance doesn't do enough to defend itself. The Secretary General Mark Rutte was in Washington recently, reinforcing to the president that the alliance is spending billions, if not trillions, in the coming years more than it had been because of American pressure to do so. The goal is to have all of the member nations spending about 5% of their GDP on defense-related issues and costs by 2035. Beyond the spending, though, the president's concerned about actually showing up. He has griped since the start of the war with Iran that alliance members haven't done enough to support the United States in its war with Iran. Expect to hear him raise that issue again. And yet the Europeans are going to be pushing the president to ensure that the United States is still there when it comes to Ukraine, to work on the way forward amid the recent Russian attacks as early as today on Kyiv and other parts of Ukraine, even as Ukraine has been bombing Crimea and other Russian-controlled areas, hoping to push Russia back and, of course, launching drones into Russia as well. To that end, the president is expected to meet face-to-face with Volodymyr Zelenskyy tomorrow. He has spoken with him a handful of times in recent weeks. He's also spent a considerable amount of time on the telephone with Vladimir Putin of Russia, of course, as the two try to influence the president's decision-making on that issue. And beyond that, there may be talk, Errol, about the redeployment or the redistribution of U.S. forces across Europe. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had warned that that is up for debate right now at the Pentagon. We'll see if the president sheds any more light on it. Errol? All
right. And on that point, Ed, we will discuss the Ukraine issue now further. We'll also stay close to your reporting throughout the morning. Ed O'Keefe, thank you. Inna Sovsun joins us now. She's a member of Ukraine's parliament and is joining us live from Kyiv. Madam Sovsun, good morning and welcome. What are you hoping will come from President Zelenskyy and President Trump's meeting?
Well, I think the main focus of the meeting would be addressing the major problem that Ukraine is facing right now. That would be the lack of the Patriot missiles, the anti-ballistic missiles, which are in crucial demand here in Ukraine right now. The other night, we had a terrible attack here in Kyiv with over 60 ballistic missiles targeting the city. Unfortunately, up to 20 people have died as of right now. Major portions of the housing has been destroyed, and we couldn't intercept a single ballistic missile because we are out of the Patriot missiles as of right now. That's becoming a systemic issue for us, and that was, I think, the primary issue that President Zelenskyy would be be addressing. Of course, the second major topic is how to lead to peace altogether. That's a more systemic, more complex issue. But I think the issue of today, frankly speaking, literally today, this night, upcoming night, we don't know if there will be yet another attack here in Kyiv. If one of us will end up in a house like this one that you are showing right now. So I think that the major issue right now is, of course, air defense for Ukrainian cities.
We've been hearing from our reporters in Kyiv that these attacks have been brutal. These overnight strikes have caused people to flee into basements. I know that you were forced to hide in your bathroom during a recent attack, and you're calling on Ukraine's allies to really help fill this gap in Ukraine's defensive stockpiles. You've mentioned the Interceptor Patriot missiles. Why does this gap exist, and what can Ukraine's NATO allies help do, or I should say Ukraine's allies at NATO help at this moment? You say this is urgent today.
This is urgent today. This is urgent tonight, of course, for all of us living here in Ukraine, for our families, for ourselves. And what can be done is basically this. NATO member states, they do have some Patriot missiles in their stockpiles. Of course, they are needed for the air defense of those countries. But frankly speaking, those countries are not under air attacks right now. So we are asking those countries to share the Patriot missiles that they're having in their stockpiles, and then once the new ones are produced, that then they can be resupplied to their stockpiles. Because again, frankly speaking, they are holding them right now for theoretical attacks. Well, in our case, those are very real attacks that we're dealing with every single week as of right now, which leads to this terror that again you are showing right now. So we are asking the countries to look at the realities of the war, to think strategically, to realize that Putin should not be allowed to terrorize a whole European nation just because some other countries are holding onto their missiles. Again, we understand the strategic need, but we think that strategic need also is to stop Putin as of right now. And for that, it's urgently important to provide some air defense to Ukraine. That is why we're asking to use what is left in the stockpiles. The major problem you ask about that, why is this so crucial, is because unfortunately Russia can produce more ballistic missiles than the whole West can produce the anti-ballistic missiles. So the numbers are simply not matching, which is, of course, a huge systemic problem. So another issue that President Zelenskyy is talking about right now is, of course, asking for Americans to allow Ukraine to produce some of those missiles based on the American technology with all the licensing and all of that. Just because right now we cannot catch up with what Russia can produce, and there is simply not enough anti-ballistic missiles available to the West and the Western partners as of right now. But we're asking at least to get us what you have right now, because frankly speaking, the last couple of weeks have been terrifying.
I can only imagine this war has raged for so many years, and I know that there's been such a large cost as far as life as well as stability in Ukraine. We appreciate you joining us and providing your insight as a Ukrainian member of Parliament. Inna Sovsun, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.